Memory transcription subject. Slanik, Venlil Space Corps. Date. Standardized human time. October 8th, 2136. When the science officer from Humanity's First Contact team reached out about a fear study, I was a bit intimidated. Sarah Rosario had done extensive biological and environmental analysis and collaborated with Venlil scientists throughout their early behavioral research. Her talks comparing our psychology racked up millions of views, as did her controversial analysis on Venlil ecosystems. In a nutshell, Terran conservationists were less than thrilled with our biomanipulation. Sarah had lambasted our efforts to wipe out predator species and discussed something she referred to as trophic cascades. The aspects she attributed to the absence of hunters were far-fetched, though she spoke at length about supposed examples from Earth. How could removing a terrestrial predator alter the ocean, destroy vegetation, or spread diseases? Humans can prove their own worth without grasping at straws. These arguments are just moronic. Besides her fringe theories, Sarah was a remarkable scientist with credentials in several fields. If anyone could find a way to break Venlil fear responses, it would be her. I knew the process could be traumatic, but I would do anything to leave my internalized feelings behind once and for all. I was tired of failing to protect my human friends.
Are you sure about this, Slanik?
Marcial growled as we approached the scientist.
If you're trying to be more human to appease me, please don't. I accept you for you.
I squeezed my tail around his wrist. Thanks, but I'm doing this for myself. I'm tired of being scared and at the whims of my instincts. Tyler patted me on the back a little harder than I would have liked. The blonde human accompanied our group to assist with any physical activities, since Marcel was still in recovery from his gunshot wounds. The UN military was involved with these experiments, so I knew part of it was seeing if I could be shaped into a proper soldier. Dread festered already, knowing simulated combat was in my future. Why do you keep helping me, Tyler? We haven't known each other long, and you must have other things to do, I said.
Dude, I wanted to be in the buddy program, just like you two. The UN turned me down.
The soldier towered over me, and his blue eyes glittered like ice crystals.
They didn't think I would mess with the Venlil, I guess. Too tall and too scary.
Marcel frowned.
You were turned down because you're not vegetarian, though your stature probably doesn't help your case.
Aliens are the most exciting thing to ever happen to mankind. I want to be part of this all. But maybe they were right. I always stick my foot in my mouth with the Venlil.
I studied the flesh-eating soldier, imagining I had never seen a human before. Marcel was a daunting hunk of muscle when I first glimpsed him. His shadow smothered me, and his forward-facing eyes were like spotlights peering down from above. It was only seeing him at his most vulnerable, cold and afraid, that squashed that threatening aura. That said, my friend barely came up to Tyler's shoulders. The sandy-haired soldier was tall, even by human standards. His dietary choices would have given everyone at the outpost the creeps. It was likely something would be blurted out about dogs and persistence hunting at a stage when his partner wasn't ready to accept that. Still, there were a lot of good memories to be formed with Tyler if he could see past the bulky predator. He was friendly to a fault, considering my emotions at times when I was harsher than he deserved. There was selflessness in the way he didn't hesitate to carry me off the cradle. I hoped other Venlil would give him a chance someday. I nuzzled against his arm, which startled the big guy. I appreciate you, Tyler. Your heart is in the right place. Don't give up. Appearances aren't everything.
That was actually sensitive and thoughtful.
Marcel feigned a gasp, and I giggled as the whites of his eyes expanded to cartoonish dimensions.
Who are you? And what have you done with Slanik?
Oh, shut up. You humans are a lot to take in, and you know it. Tyler placed a hand on his hip, striking a goofy pose.
Well, take it all in, buddy. Appearances are worth something. 210 pounds of glorious, rugged...
Yeah, you're the pinnacle of male perfection.
Marcel snorted, shoving the other soldier with his good arm.
Keep walking. The Secretary General doesn't want to see that.
The Secretary General? Why would Maya be here? I followed by Human's gaze and surveyed the Terran scientists camped by the machines. Sarah was taking an inventory of her equipment while other predators were staring at us. My nerves flared as I realized most humans present were in military uniforms. I knew these experiments would have combat applications, but I didn't think martial leaders were calling the shots. Secretary General Maya looked less amused with my pack's antics than I was. Tomfoolery was not his favorite pastime. He was in a heated discussion with several people in green and brown uniforms. The color scheme looked like a tree threw up on it, but they didn't seem the type that would appreciate such comments. Sarah waved us over to her.
Long time no see, Slanik. Glad you're back in one piece.
I'm hoping to stay that way. Why are all these important humans here? I squeaked. She lowered her eyes.
There's no easy way to say this, but I'm afraid our work will have to move much faster than I anticipated. We don't have much time.
You heard the news from Venlil Prime?
Secretary General Meyer interjected. Marcel nodded.
We did. Ambassador Williams is alive, and he returned with some new friends.
I was glad my human piked up, because this ambush had thrown me off my prepared responses. Was this about helping our new allies with their own first contact programs? They'd be trying to create an easier bonding process.
The picture of the Zorlin.
Tyler began.
Zerulean.
Sarah and I corrected at the same time.
The Zerulean on the human shoe is everywhere. My man was just like, oh, a predator. Looks like a warm, comfy pillow to me.
Secretary Meyer breathed an irritated sigh.
The other news. The Crocodile are leading a crusade against us, and we have less friends than foes. Not that even our friends are likely to help. Simple math dictates that we are at a numerical disadvantage.
The thousands of ships the birds will be in mass and represent a multi-species coalition.
One of the uniformed personnel chimed in.
Projections indicate they'll set sail today and arrive on October 16th or 17th.
Horror coursed through my veins as the gravity of the Terran's revelation set in. How could these humans be so calm at the prospect of an attack on Earth? Marcel and Tyler both were subdued, but their reaction wasn't on the level it should be. This was a raid with the intention of turning their verdant home into a barren rock, the same as the Arx's vile tactics. The Crocodile were one of the few species that could head a functional offensive. They boasted a high aggression since they evolved to scare off predators. During the initial phases of the Arxa War, the Avians conjured up the technology that allowed us to regroup. While nobody was on the humans' level, they possessed some tactical acumen. Why not launch a preemptive strike like you did with the Gajeeds? I demanded. Maya frowned.
It's too late now, but it wouldn't have worked. Most of their ships are already spaceborne, so we couldn't catch them sleeping like the Gajeeds. They concentrated forces around their stations heavily.
But you're excellent fighters. You have advanced ships now. Nobody can rival a Predator's military prowess.
They outnumbered us 10 to 1 if we sent the entirety of our fledgling armada. They also had home turf advantage and orbital lasers around every base. You might as well launch the UN fleet into a supernova. You'd get the same results.
Sarah sighed.
Our best hope was for Noah to convince them to stand down. That didn't work out.
I turned my gaze toward Marcel, noticing how his gaze drifted to his holopad. My human's thoughts were transparent at times. He was worried about the welfare of Nulia and Lucy, who remained back at his residence. The Gajeed child would never feel safe again if she watched another world endure destruction. That's if anyone survives the attack on Earth. The entire human race is in jeopardy, I realized. We need to get everyone off-world before it's too late. I pinned my ears against my head. You know the Crocodile are coming. There's still time. Evacuate Earth.
And go where? Anyone who wishes to leave will have the opportunity, including you.
The Secretary General growled.
This is our home. We've built everything here. It's the only planet we've got.
Marcel ruffled the stray tuft on my head, gentle and reassuring as ever.
Oh, soldiers, we're going to stay and fight.
No! I shrieked. Come with me to Venlil territory. We'll take care of you. All of you. Please, don't die, humans.
It's okay, buddy. Go back to your world. I want you to be safe.
Tears rolled down my face at the thought of Marcel perishing by a Crocodile horde. It brought back unwanted memories, like the scorching pain in my chest when I thought he was about to be shot in front of me. We had been to hell and back together, and it finally seemed like our lives could settle down. Now, without warning, the light at the end of the tunnel was extinguished. If Sarah's team were cancelling my experiment, I understood. Humans had bigger things to worry about than my fragile instincts. Scrap the study. It's not a priority. I rubbed a paw against my cheek, catching the water rolling down my fur. You don't have to worry about diplomatic fallout from me. I want to fight with you. Maya shook his head.
We can discuss integration to a UN vessel if the results of your training are positive. However, I recommend that you lend that option some serious thought, as high casualties are expected.
I appreciate that humans honor your word, but you do not have time to fix me. Don't waste...
This study is very important, Slanik, for the survival of our species.
The Secretary General crossed his arms, a calculating scowl on his face.
Look, if Earth falls, the Venlil will be custodians of the few remaining humans. It will be up to you to rebuild our population and to protect our survivors from threats.
Don't talk like that. Please.
I have to. Our research could point you in the right direction and make your soldiers stronger.
If things don't work out for us, this is humanity's parting gift.
Sarah finished.
I speak for all of us in saying that I hope the Van Nil prosper.
My tail drooped between my legs, and it was all I could do not to collapse in defeat. The Terran's odds of defending such an onslaught was slim. Every human I knew could be dead in little over a week. Hearing the UN leaders speak as if that probability was likely crushed my hopes that the Sol system had some predatory tricks tucked away. Their species didn't deserve this fate. The humans faced their impending doom with fearlessness, so I needed to accept reality too. If my participation strengthened the Van Lille military in the UN's absence, I would do whatever was asked of me. No matter the mental duress this exacted on me, it was worth it. I swallowed hard. Thanks for telling me yourself, sir. Where do we begin? Sarah rummaged through a box of her belongings and retrieved a red fabric sleeve. It took all of my willpower not to shy away as she tugged it over my face. Her curved nails waded through my fur like daggers. I couldn't see at all for a split second, which added to the panic. How could placing coverings on my head impart anything? They have to have a good reason. These predators will not hurt you. Humans will never hurt you, I repeated internally. The human scientist was gentle as she tugged a pair of straps behind my ears. My vision returned as two cutouts fell over the eyes, positioning. It felt like I was suffocating in the mask, but the fit was correct enough. Was it custom made to my dimensions? Its purpose must lie beyond adding color to my silver fur. I realized that something was wrong with my sight as soon as I processed my surroundings. Where I had seen Tyler standing beside me, there was only a dark shadow. Marcel's comforting snarl was obscured as well. This headgear had barriers to take away my periphery. Was this what it was like to have predator sight? Sarah clapped her hands.
Perfect.
You good, Slanik?
Marcel's voice echoed from my left, and I had to turn my head to look at him. The motion felt alien.
You look miserable, like a fish out of water.
It was tough to describe how it felt, to be unaware of the objects in my vicinity. Simply carrying out a conversation was unnatural. No wonder humans got jumpy if I came up beside them without thinking. Something could sneak up behind me now, and I wouldn't realize it was there until it pounced. I'll survive, I grumbled. You're going to make me calmer, Sarah, by limiting my vision. No offense, but I thought limited optical range was a downside to being human.
Your instincts are triggered by things approaching from the side or behind you. You're easily distracted by your surroundings because you see too much at once. I think this'll help your spook reflex, to focus on a single target at a time.
I get it. Like horse blinders.
Tyler stated in a glummer tone than usual. Like what? Maybe I'm making the wrong inference again, but it sounds like they've tried to force their tunnel vision on other prey animals. The scientist nodded.
Precisely. Slanik, why don't we try a combat simulator with the blinders? If it doesn't help, or you really don't like it, we'll drop it.
Fine. Sarah steered me into a separate room with a light touch. The enclosed space appeared to be an imitation of a patrol ship cabin, complete with controls and sensor readouts. Where the viewport should sit, there were blank screens. I imagined they would reflect arcs of ships in a few minutes. Tyler squeezed into the co-pilot's seat, a downcast expression on his face. The tall human knew we could be in a dogfight that was very real a short time from now. The stakes of our next mission would be his entire planet. This flight presented no tangible threat, and I needed to keep that fact at the forefront of my mind. Somewhere, deep inside my soul, there had to be some bravery lurking. All that mattered was gaining admission to the UN's last stand and proving that prey genetics didn't define us. These virtual enemies were going to have hell to pay.